Good evening. I'd like to call your attention to the Board of Commissioners meeting, April 18th, 2013, at 7:04. Those who would, please join us in the prayer and the pledge. Please stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us. Father, we thank you for the many blessings of life. Father, we ask that you would be with the families of the victims of the bombings, Lord Jesus. Father, that you would just bring them peace and comfort during this time. Father, we ask that you would guide these men and women as they undertake the city's business, that their decisions would be in the best interest of the citizens. Father, we ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, additions, or deletions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is the citizens' comments. We have Mr. Neil Rice. Would you approach the podium? You have 3 minutes to share your comments or concerns.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you. 3 minutes should be fine. A few weeks ago, I discussed with Director Lavorne the need to relocate a couple structures at the historical village from the original site plan. Specifically, the area that has the barn on it, we wanted to put a log cabin there, and in the front left area where it says future, it was our desire to relocate the amphitheater to that area for several reasons. Convenience of persons who would be using the farmers market, and just convenience in general. In order to, I was told that this was discussed at the last Planning Commission, that there seemed to be no difficulty with this idea except for one item, and that was placing the barn in the front right corner. There seemed to be some thinking that that would be an unsightly structure to be located close to the road. Although we disagree with that, we certainly are agreeable to its being located in another area. It's also my understanding that during the discussion of this matter, that some suggested that a way of dealing with this simply might be to remove the names of the structures that are cited on this plan and then just place them as they come along and with the appropriate approval. This seems very, very reasonable and agreeable, and would like to recommend that idea, that is the idea of removing the names of the existing structures, except of course for the school and the post office, be done so that we can proceed. We have located and in our possession a log structure and a log smokehouse that we would like to place there beginning in July. It was also mentioned to me that there was discussion that if this were done, specifically if the amphitheater were placed here, that would require somewhat of an adjustment of the sidewalk. No doubt that is correct, but that would just simply be done. This was was prepared with the idea that it certainly was fluid and there would be changes as other structures came along and as other uses came along. So we would hope that that would be certainly kept in mind. There is no disagreement with anything as far as the way the discussion went at the last Planning Commission. We simply would like to go ahead and have these names removed so that we could proceed. Also, during the discussion of Agenda 7A this evening, which is a discussion of the projects and so forth, we would like to request an update on the architect's work on the mechanical wiring and insulation work. Seems like that's been a long time since that was discussed, and it seemed quite a while ago that it was supposed to have gone forward, and I don't know that it has. It may very well, everything may be just fine, and we're ready to put in a heating and air conditioning system. I don't know. I haven't been in the building for a while. But if we could have an update on that, it would be appreciated. Do you have any question at all regarding my comments regarding the Planning Commission's meeting?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have next on the citizens' comments, Ms. Millicent Kidder. Thank you. Welcome.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm here on behalf of the Friends of the Fairview Library. We saw the agenda item for tonight's meeting regarding the expansion of the library, and I'm here to say that we strongly support any type of expansion or any type of growth for this library. It is one of the most used libraries in the whole Williamson County library system. It is bursting at the seams. I'm literally bursting at the seams. We sorely need more room for programs for children, for children's literacy programs, for books, especially for the computer area that is widely used by most of the people in this city who don't have access to computers otherwise. So I would just like to say we really would like to see this favorably considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Mr. Jerry Bull, welcome.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here as Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Williamson County Library System, and have with me the Director of the entire library system, as well as our Fairview Branch Manager. You just heard about some of the issues surrounding the library, which in its 23 years has not had $1 of capital improvements other than the rear parking lot that the county paid for about a dozen years ago. Noting the incredible usage of this library and the extreme limitation of spaces, and the fact that you might be astounded to learn that 47,000 residents visited last year, we have approved as a Board of Trustees a 800 square foot expansion to the library at a cost of approximately $128,000. And we feel, having submitted flat budgets to the county for over 6 years, that the time is right for them to share with this council the approval of that addition. So as we see that's going to be on the agenda tonight, we would fervently ask for your support, noting that if you could, in effect, cough up about half that number, I'm pretty confident the county will, and in both cases, one's approval could be contingent upon the others. So again, we would certainly solicit your endorsement of that and feel like it would be a great service to the community and to our patrons here in Fairview. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is awards and recognition.
Mayor, there are no staff awards or recognitions this evening.
I'd like to call on Chief Cooper. He shared with me, he has something.
I do, thank you, Mayor. The FM Global Company is a huge insurance company with operations worldwide. They've been in business over 200 years, and they do commercial and heavy industrial insurers. They don't do residential. They have a foundation, and they must have people to look for people who need money. They got wind of our fire prevention program. As you know, we come around every year and visit all the businesses. And one of the projects we're in the midst of, and we don't have any resources, is computerizing a database for every business in the city. So we'll have a floor plan, where the nearest fire hydrants are, where the sprinkler system hookups are, where the exits are, etc., including the contact information for the business owners in the middle of the night. We can get a hold of these businesses. And so I have a check, Mayor, for you for $2,600 to fund this fire prevention program. That'll give us our software and our computers to get this project at no cost to taxpayers.
Excellent. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the city and the citizens, thank you for your service and your protection. By the way, any updates on Mr. Gunny and the babies?
Absolutely. Glad you should ask. Today was
Their birthday.
Our training officer, Captain Hughes, is a retired gunnery sergeant from the Marine Corps, why we call him Gunny. And today was B-Day instead of D-Day, birthday. And it kicked off at 0800, he calls it, and by 0930, he said that all members of the landing party were safely on the beach. Triplets, and all 3 girls, a set of twins, and a spare, as he called it. And mother and babies are doing quite well. Gunny, however, who chose to be in the delivery room during the C-section, is an absolute basket case.
Wow.
So I recommend that you buy stock and Pampers. Thank you for asking, Mayor.
Send his congratulations from us, please.
Thank you, and I thank you for asking.
Thank you. Excellent. Any awards or recognitions from the board?
No, ma'am.
Next is public announcements.
Mayor, just a couple of things. I want to remind everyone of our emissions testings on Tuesday from 7:30 to noon out at the Highway 96 Fire Station. Also, you'll see, if you are looking at us tonight after the program goes off on Channel 19, we've got a new and improved Channel 19. We have a crawl line. We have multiple things for you to look at for your viewing pleasure, and we will be updating it continuously. We'll also be providing replays of sporting events and musical events and chorus events and plays and things from the high school and the middle school and the elementary school. So going to be doing a lot more things on there. We've got, with our new equipment, we're able to do a lot more things. So we're really excited about that.
Thank you. Any other public announcements? I'd like to highlight that at 9 a.m. on Saturday, there is a plant swap at Bowie Park, 9 a.m. Plant swap. If anyone has an interest in swapping plants, or if you're pruning your garden, getting some new things, that is at 9 o'clock. Also, I would like to highlight that we are having a subcommittee meeting discussing the community garden. We're asking the Williamson County Master Gardeners to join us, and any citizens that have an interest in participating in the planning stages for the community garden, and that is at 6 p.m. on Monday the 22nd here at City Hall. And I also would like you to put on your calendar, I saw, oh, no, I didn't. I thought Mr. Masick walked in. I saw that we will have a clean sweep, which is Keep Fairview Beautiful, and that will be Saturday, May 4th from 8 to 12. Starts at the Bank of America. Sign in. You can do yourself. You can bring a group. You can bring a civic group. It's sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce in collaboration with the Keep Williamson Beautiful and the Keep America Beautiful. So we're going to do our part from 8 to 12 on May 4th. Please put your work shirts and work shoes on and come join us. We'd love to see you, and we'd love to give you a point of reference to show your pride in keeping Fairview clean. Would there be anything else? Thank you. The next is the approval of the minutes. 6A is the minutes for the February 21st, 2013 Board of Commissioners meeting.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 6B is minutes for the March 21st, 2013 Board of Commission meeting.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 7A and O business is discuss and or take actions on the City of Fairview project. City Manager Hyatt.
Thank you, Mayor. While we have quite a laundry list of projects, the mayor at her State of the City address the other day at the restaurant outlined and highlighted our projects, and it was, I think, 2 full slides, maybe even into a 3rd slide. So I won't go that into detail. I'll just want to touch the ones that are underway or in progress now or nearing completion. And obviously Bowie Lake Road has begun in earnest. They've started digging for the underground trench for the underground electrical. They anticipate they have 60 days to do the project, and that started, I believe it was the clock started back in the first week of April, so they've got roughly, I guess, about 5 weeks to complete the project. 6 weeks. They're supposed to finish somewhere around the middle of May. The roadscapes project, we're moving along with that. The engineering firm, Lowson Associates, is doing the NEPA, the environmentals to get that ready, and we'll be moving and bringing you more information as we get closer to that. We have discussed, Don has been in touch with the National Historical Association just to follow up a little bit on the letter we received from the State Historical Association on some of the things that they were not willing to agree or approve. So Don has tried on numerous occasions. He's played phone tag this week with the gentleman in Washington that he needs to speak with. So we are doing some conversations there, and I don't know if Don has anything to add to that. Have anything to add to that, Don? Okay. Woolly Park Forestry Project, we have the forestry management plan. We have been able to get Dwight Barnett out there to identify the trees, and he is getting some information together for us as we speak, and hopefully in the next week we'll be able to start getting that together to get a bid package out so we can move along on that process. Welcome signs, we have the capstones put on the sign out of Highway 96. Expect the design of sign to probably be put in place, I would imagine, in the next week to 10 days. Gary is working and has begun work on that to replace the backside. The safe routes continues to go. We're still waiting on the engineer, NEPA, the environmentals to be completed there. I talked with Diana Benedict, the TDOT representative that runs that program, about a week and a half ago, and she has assured me that that is nearing completion. We've been in discussions today actually about our active transportation as a staff and our paving projects, and we will come back with you on a city paving project list probably at the next commission meeting. Evergreen Park, moving right along with that. We have ordered some picnic tables and benches to be put in place out there for your pleasure. We've thinned a lot of trees. We've gotten it in a workable area. Situation where you can get out there and enjoy that a little bit now that the leaves are on the trees, and once the pollen settles down a little bit. We've discovered a little area where we're going to build a little bridge across a little creek area where you can actually walk all the way around that now, so it'd be a good place to go for some exercise to get a little different look, and it's flat, it's very accessible to just about anyone that would like to get out there. The Park 5-year strategic plan, the staff, Keith is on vacation this week, but we're going to be looking more into that. The Park Board has asked us to look at that as a staff, and we're going to be highlighting some of that and bringing that back to the Park Board. Transportation plan, we discussed a little bit at length tonight. I don't know if we want to talk a little more about it now or put the slide back up there, but we do have some information that we've gotten together as far as the costs that we anticipate on part of the roads to be put in basically right around City Hall, Grand Boulevard, and then streets that we've identified as A, B, C, and D, which would connect Wiley with Wiley Circle where we sit, would go behind us a little bit in some dead ends, and would connect down here with Boone Street, and roughly with land acquisition. The engineer went high, we feel like, but roughly $15 million to do those roads. So those of you who were at the meeting earlier saw that project. Farmers Market, we're still waiting for some design changes to be able to move forward with that, but we do have a quote on that. And then the City Center overlay, I believe they're going to bring that back up at the Planning Commission workshop to discuss that.
Did I miss anything?
I did not, because nothing's moved on that as yet. It went to the Park Board. It went to the Park Board to discuss. On city agenda? Okay. Yes, Keith has been in discussions with, I believe, Mike Smith. If Mike's still here, is Mike still here, or did he leave?
He's gone.
He left about a project. It's a kind of quite an undertaking, but they have discussed it and are in process of discussing it.
The figure that I had for a foot bridge was $75,000. Is that close to being right?
I have no idea.
That's the figure that was discussed. And I understand the logistics of having to be so long to evaluate it. So that's
Okay.
The only two things that I would like to kind of expand upon is the Planning Commission did discuss the PUD of the historical village? Was there any recommendation that was going to be put forth, or is it still in discussion?
From the discussion at the planning commission, I guess it was a recommendation from the board to planning commission to delete the names of the buildings. The other discussion was that if you move the amphitheater to the location that was requested, you get into the area where the detention pond is. That area, you would have to have an engineer to redesign the detention area because you would actually be taking up some of the area with the amphitheater.
So is it still in
So-
discussion?
So I can't tell an engineer to redraw the plan without going to the Board of Commissioners and asking y'all for that expenditure.
Will you be bringing that after the next planning commission meeting in some formal comment or request, if that's what they deem you to do?
The recommendations follow a procedure. Once the planning commission makes the recommendation, it goes to the first meeting of the next month. So it'll be on y'all's first meeting for
Okay.
discussion.
Is that on the planning commission next agenda?
No, sir. It'll be on the Board of Commissioners' next agenda.
First meeting in May, we'll discuss that from the recommendation from the planning commission.
ma'am.
Okay, I was just checking on when that would come back. Thank you. How about any comment addressing Dr. Neil Rice about the architectural on the electrical and HVAC on Triangle School?
We're
Waiting on the state, on the,
on the national response.
Okay.
Because that's where y'all left it at the last meeting, was for us to get in contact with them.
As far as the engineering goes,
We couldn't proceed with the engineering
as far as the kitchen area.
or the architect until we got a response from the National Register.
so we're waiting on the National Registry to give us the clear understanding that it will not change the registry.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
A definite.
Definite. Any other comments, questions on city projects? Nope. Be no action, we'll move on. 8A, discuss and or take action on library expansion proposal from county. Each one of you were given one of these informationals, and it was the proposal that Mr. Bull spoke of. I would like to just kind of open the floor of conversation or questions on that material, the presentation. Comments? Yes, sir.
I think it's pretty obvious, given the data, that it's something that we ought to do. I think libraries in general are in transition, so if we do this, I'd like to see us lean more heavily toward the computer aspects of trying to provide that. I do have some concerns, though, about the funding of it. Do we have any information, maybe Ms. Kidder or the library folks could help us with this, that tells us of those people, those 43,000 folks you said, how many of those folks are city residents and how many of those folks are county residents? Do we know? Do we have, and I apologize for my ignorance, but do we have a library card system?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So could we run a database that tells us of the people that have library cards for the system, how many live in the city of Fairview and how many live outside the city of Fairview?
Yeah, we definitely can supply that data, and frankly, I would be amazed if it wasn't at least 85 or 90% Fairview residents.
Well, that's very important for us to know because here's what happens. The Fairview residents, depending upon what we choose to participate in, the Fairview residents also pay county taxes. So it is that if the city contributes 50% and the county contributes 50%, then the Fairview residents are paying a larger percentage. And I want to make sure that before we would allocate something like that, that the usage was primarily Fairview residents. I'm not trying to cut too fine a point on it, but some would say that it's causing the Fairview residents to pay twice for something, and if we're using it, then that's fine. Maybe we should pay that much, but that's a very important piece of information I'd like to know as to that, and I think from that we could determine how much financial, if we wanted to move that way, how much finances we could afford, or what would be our proper share for the people that use it.
Good point.
That's all I have to say, but I think it's a worthy endeavor to check into, for sure.
Is the 43,000 number, is that for individuals, is that for repeat use, or
That's individuals that cross the threshold.
single individuals?
Right.
So I go twice a week.
We actually have a little beam, a light beam.
So it could be, I use it twice a week. If everybody did, it'd be 21.5. I just asked for me to get right. $43,000.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's the second largest used library in the county.
It is indeed.
And has been for years.
It has indeed. We can provide you that data, by the way, tomorrow, if you ask for it.
That would be very helpful in our budget talks, because that way we could see what we were able to do.
One thing that helped, that I would like to see us do is get a definition from the county. You brought up education, literacy programs, things like that, to be used for children. Schools, I know we have a funding situation right now for the county that can only be used for schools. I like to look into the possibility of, if it's designated for the proper use, to use some of that money for the library too. And our funds part of it, going back to the county.
I think we can do that.
Good
I would have
point,
no
though.
objection to that.
Yeah. Good. Good
said
point.
all along, I would like to do something, especially if we could do it with that money. We got to do something with it anyway. It's got to be education, so if we can, if it could be determined, that would be a great way to fund it.
Good
Oh,
point.
yeah. That would certainly give us a broader base by which to contribute.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Carroll? Well, I'll be the first to say it is a fabulous idea. It is desperately needed, and we were brought this task a couple years ago by Miss Janice Keck, and she highlighted the need, and I was unaware, and at that point, the Girl Scout in me says when you find a need, you find a way to fix it. So I am elated that this is an opportunity that we can participate in to fill that need. I believe it's not going to be big enough as we continue to grow, but doing nothing is not the option. So doing something I'm definitely favorable of. Thank you for all of your commitments. I'm looking at each one of you on that row there. Thank you for your commitments, because the library, to me, as growing up in a town and as I see Fairview, it's a heartbeat of a community. I think it says a lot of what is important, and I believe it feeds people where they need to be fed, whether it be educational, or whether it be just literacy or just some type of enjoyment of reading. The library speaks the heartbeat of a community. So I'm very, very favorable. I agree with my fellow commissioners here that a little more information is needed. I believe that it'll allow us to walk into our budget talks with some information. So if you'll gather that for us, share it with us. We do begin budget talks on the 22nd, and it will be quickly discussed, and hopefully this could get back on our first meeting in May, to be able to fully talk about what are our good options, so we can send you back with some positive answers. I don't see any negatives, that we see the need, and we want to make sure we look towards how we're going to fix it, fill it, and see it be progressed.
City Manager, could you come down and look into the possibilities of us using that money?
Oh, I did have something else to say. That's school facilities tax fees, okay. I also want to highlight there is you have a community room, Ms. Grimmenstein, at the library, and it's used by the public for different reasons, whether it be a garden club or a Girl Scout group or whatever. I want to continue focusing on that room, on that ability, because we do have a deficit of community spaces in Fairview, and I believe there's ways we can continue to service the citizens, whether it be civic or educational, and I would like to make sure that's continuing communication with Williamson County, that, you know, if we see a computer class is needed, that it's not said, well, that's not what the library's mission is. It's how we see the citizens can be benefited by the space in the library. So I want to just kind of add that in our conversation. Other comments from the commissioners? Any comments from the staff?
The committee, the present committee was very small, as you know,
Understand?
and that would be a very good idea to make more space for the community. Any nonprofit may use it.
Okay. Any comments from the staff about the library? Personal or nothing? Okay. Thank you. Item 8B, discuss and or take action on Fairview Marketing Plan proposal. City Manager Hyatt has shared with us a proposal from the shopping center group. I wanted to discuss in this of the need of us being able to market Fairview not only to the commercial but to the retail. The shopping center group visited with us at the Economic Task Force at our March meeting and shared with us what they do for other cities. So I wanted this to be put in front of the commissioners and us to be able to discuss. I do know that it's kind of a big chunk, but once it's done once, it's not done over and over. It's used material that then can be solicited to trade shows. We can market it through the chamber. We can market it through the Williamson County Economic Development, the state economic development, and other than updating from time to time, it's kind of an upfront fee, setup fee, upfront fee, and then it's just maintained. And in this shopping center group, she gave us a large proposal. If you think about a site selector that comes into an area, we were shared by the Tennessee Economic Development that was at our meeting, the April meeting for the Economic Task Force, that they do the majority of all of their studies online. So that immediately made me think, what do we look like online? Are we as sharp as we need to be? And what do we need to focus on? Because if they're finding everything sitting in their office in Colorado or Chicago, we need to make sure that everything there is not only accurate and current, that it's what we want to say about our community. They're taking in characteristics, they're taking in traffic counts, they're taking in what other large businesses, what kind of job pool for employees, all of that's being taken in. This is kind of a paper print of that. So we may need to look at our internet-based information just as strongly, and I would like to kind of take this idea and then bring it back to staff to say, can we look at how we look online and what can we do? Because a lot of the online stuff, other than paying programmers or paying design, it's much cheaper than paper print. And it has shelf life. And if that's where the site selectors are looking first, we need to definitely spend money where they're looking first. Then be able to get the shopping center group to talk with us about a condensed version. And the condensed version would be something that's handed out. Say someone comes into City Hall door saying, I'm interested in developing the front of City Hall. I'm interested in developing something near Walmart. We would like to be able to present to them some type of marketing piece that gives them everything about Fairview that we want them to know in a short version. Because if they're going to look widely at traffic counts and different things, they're going to get that elsewhere. So I wanted to put this forward, whether we take action on anything. I wanted to be able to discuss how are we marketing Fairview, and what they're seeing now, is it what we want them to see? So I'm just going to open for conversation or comments of where you think we should go with this next to the commissioners.
Well, I think it should be updated completely. As we've been told before, this is kind of like the Wheel of Fortune. You don't get one answer from these people when they start looking, and if you're not prepared for the time, they're going to look right over you. So, you know, they can build anywhere right now. But to make sure we have the proper development of these programs when you look at it, I think is very important that we do that. Then we move forward with taking it outside. I know there's a lot of places you can go to. We discuss some of those. Just to get the word out about us. And there's a TDOT site that has a lot of the information on the population growth, commercial area. We've talked about that with the Tennessee representative, I think, and TDOT at the same time. But if it's going to be up to us to develop that site, where it's very attractive for us. And we are growing, and we need to have it the right type of growth. Not moving too big, but we need to be prepared for what someone comes asking.
Okay. Other commissioners' comments?
Well, I've always felt like marketing has been one of our things that we were lacking, self-promotion of our own city. I know the city manager, since he came in the commissions before, worked on the website and trying to bring that up to date. But as far as getting the information out there, we have made strides to try to do that. I mean, I think a good start would look at, what we already have and see what we could do to improve those sites and make us more marketable. I don't know as far as hiring a company to promote us. I mean, it would be interesting to look at as far as ideals, but I don't know. I just think a lot of the businesses, Alan said it perfect. They know we're here now. So, I think as far as marketing, what are we trying to market? People to move in or businesses to move in? And so, I don't know. I just kind of feel like that, it's more about presentation and how do we want to present and what we're wanting to do and getting the direction. I mean, I don't know. I'm not so sure that as far as retailers, we know that as people move in, we get rooftops, and as we get rooftops, the big businesses, they want to come. It's all, happening. But to what point, I'm not sure that we want to, and I'm not so sure what this is trying to do. Are we going to go marketing retail? Are we going to market industry? And I think a lot of that is we have to decide what the face of our community looks like. Just my thoughts.
Okay. Commissioner Purcell.
Well, I'm thinking along the same lines as Commissioner Carroll on a couple of these things. I'm not really sure, and maybe somebody can help me here, I'm not really sure what we're talking about buying. Are we talking about buying a slicker package? Or are we talking about buying a slicker package and then somebody services that's going to go out there to several of these places like Whataburger and whatever that I'd like to see here in town?
I like Whataburger.
So having spent so long in Texas, I miss Whataburger. So it would be great to have Whataburger. But can somebody enlighten me on that? If what we're buying is just a slicker package, I appreciate Commissioner Carroll quoting me, but I kind of feel that way. I feel like Walmart has opened the door, and the rooftops and the buildings will bring that. And while a slicker package might be better to have for somebody, we really haven't put a lot of energy into that, so I'm not sure the kind of money that they're talking about here. And I read somewhere that the cheapest purchase was $12,000. That was for a one-time deal, or $12,000-13,000. The other was more expensive and was a 3-year contract and was upwards of maybe $50,000 for the 3 years. So I guess that's my question, and maybe one of y'all could help me there. Once we get this new package, are they then going to take it to this very extensive list of companies like Chick-fil-A and say, have we got a town for you? Or is that still going to be our responsibility to either wait on Chick-fil-A to come to us or for us to contact Chick-fil-A? Because I'm not sure that I'm willing to spend $50,000 if we're still going to have to go to Chick-fil-A. I don't know anybody at Chick-fil-A, so I wouldn't know where to take my slick package. So
Yes, let me share with you. At the
Okay.
Economic Task Force in March, the shopping center group was here, and they laid out a amazing presentation of how they market cities. White House was one, which we use White House as a benchmark because it was a community that had 5,000 or 6,000. Walmart came to its area. It's now over 10,000. I don't know if the numbers are exact, but it was a benchmark for us to say what happened in their area could happen in our area, and let's pay attention. We actually went and visited. So the shopping center group has been involved with them on an ongoing basis. But in that, you did read these two because you just quoted the numbers there. The 29,500, and I'm glad you went there because the citizens may be going, what kind of money is this that you're even discussing? That 29,000 does break it down, and they're giving us a package to present. They are not employed presenting for us as our economic / chamber / staff / ambassadors. They are not. They're giving us something to present that has all of the heartbeat information that these site selectors are looking for. So I do agree with you. To have a beautiful package for $30,000 sitting here that doesn't go anywhere and is not marketed and doesn't have anyone's interest or passion on it, I agree. That's not wise. The $12,000 then eliminated several of that slick package, which just gave you a condensed version. Just like, you could buy something and you get less, so you pay less. So I agree with that. The main purpose of me bringing this to the board was to communicate that we saw the need in one of our strategic planning to talk about the focusing of the identity of Fairview and to focus on the marketing of Fairview. That we are paying attention and that we know what people are seeing about us and we agree with it. And that if we're marketing and participating in going around to trade shows and economically developing our community, either ourselves as Fairview, working with Williamson County Economic or Tennessee Economic, that we're giving them more than nothing, or we're giving them more than a trifold that we put together that looks good, but that may not be anything for them to look at for what they're looking for. So with that, it's more of a informational and for us to continue discussing what are we willing to pay on marketing Fairview. If we have marketing dollars in our budget, what are we doing with those marketing dollars? And are we doing the best by making sure what they're seeing right now, because there's material, you Google right now, Fairview, Tennessee, there's material about us. My goal is to say, is that what we want people to see? Is that who our community is? And is it correct? If not, that's where I think we should start, because I believe that's a starting spot before you spend a lot of money on a package. You've got to make sure what they're seeing already is right. So this is for discussion and recognizing a need, and then being able to discuss what are we willing to do towards that need in small steps. And I agree, Walmart's kind of opening a door, so maybe a huge package. There's a lot of things in economic development they teach us is when you don't have the assets, there's very little for you to show off. When you have a lot of assets, you show them off, they figure it out. We have 2 interstates. Well, 840 is not an interstate, I've been corrected. Major thoroughfare. We have 2 cradling Fairview. As I travel around the state working with economic people, they say we're 40 miles from an interstate, no water, no rail, and no commerce. They better get a nice little package together because they may not have as much to sell. So I think we could, showing off our assets, allowing Walmart to come in and the others to see what we have to offer, just making sure what they see is who we want to be, and we attract what would benefit our future.
A lot of the information, as I was looking at what they provide for us, and I think it was the economic development meeting where TVA talked to us.
what I heard.
There's a lot of this information that they say they're going to do for us that TVA already told us they could give us. It seems to me that our money, and I guess we can talk about it in the budget process, but it seems to me that our money is better spent on having a front person than to put together the package. I think we could acquire the data from our sources, a lot of the same data. that
And I
they're-
have made
they're gonna put
contact with
together.
TVA.
They're going to put together. But what we really need is we need somebody who is passionate about our city and our area and goes out and contacts these places to deliver that marketing package.
I agree.
And that to me is, and I'm not necessarily saying we need to hire somebody to work for the city. I'm a real marketing firm that's actually goes out and contacts people and stuff like that. I think that's maybe a talent that either we don't know who has that within our city or we haven't developed yet. And I'd like to see us think about not so much getting a slicker package. I'd like to see us talk to somebody, if we want to spend some money this way, on that actually will do the legwork, that has the connection with Whataburger or Chick-fil-A or retailing clothing goodies. Somebody like that could go there and say, what's your expansion plans? Are you looking to move into Middle Tennessee? We've got a small town that's growing that is hungry for, no pun intended there, but hungry for restaurants, and they don't have anything that is pure hamburger except McDonald's, so I think this is a great idea, but I'm more interested in putting our money into the front person, not necessarily the package.
In our March meeting, we also had the gentleman who's marketing for Bowie Commons here. And when I made that same statement of, okay, we can have the best package on a little thumb drive, and what do we do next with it? And he expressed to me that his full-time job is marketing the Bowie Commons. Now, that may not help someone to the left or someone down the road, but he said his full-time job is marketing Bowie Commons, Fairview, Tennessee, and that let me know that we have people out there that we're not paying, that their job is to market us to those Whataburgers or China Can, whoever, whatever. They're marketing to those people currently. I was elated to know that he's out there working on our behalf, and that was at our March meeting. He was present sharing with us. Again, this for conversation of seeing a need for us to market. Where it actually moves, that's for full discussion and, of course, in budgeting ideas. But I do agree that making sure what we're showing right now currently for the city of Fairview is what we want people to see. So I'm going to kind of comment on that and say, what do we look like on the internet right now? And let's focus on that.
Well, I'm sorry.
I agree with everybody that's spoken so far, and it's a matter of Chick-fil-A's got a department that goes out and looks for the best location with their place. McDonald's comes out and does a traffic study before they put a place out there. We are on the map, but they need to be able to have access, and I'm sure they do. How many approved homes, how many rooftops already got approved? 1,800 that we need to build on? I heard that figure, is it close?
1,700.
I'm sorry, 1,700. That's approved, and that's information that they need to have, that this has already been approved, this is new people that we're gonna have here, a forecast on jobs. There's a big difference in a restaurant, a nice restaurant coming to Fairview, when we only have, 800 jobs in town, 1,000 jobs in town. That's how many people they're gonna be able to serve lunch to.
300.
Well, I'm just saying, but that's changing quickly. That number will double in the next year, at least. Not counting what develops at Blue County, not counting the other stores and things that we anticipate coming in here. The last figure I heard on Walmart was 225 approximately.
Jobs.
Jobs.
Yes, sir.
Just for Walmart. That almost doubles what you got right now. We've probably added another 100. I know we've added, Publix is 99 jobs, the last number I heard from them. Not counting the MAPCOs, I can see us have added almost 500 jobs between O'Reilly's and everything else, but that's numbers that they need. They need to know how many people can they feed at lunch.
Right.
They need to know how many people are going to have economic, the jobs and resources where they can spend their money here, not 25 miles away, smart where they work. So all those things need to be on a website that we're looking at, and road construction, the growth that we have, the traffic we have, we all seem to be offered up, so where when they look, they can see it. One thing I would like to see is just look into, and I'm no longer on the board, is a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. A true partnership between the city and the chamber, financial backing as far as being a partnership and do this. And go out there and spread, this is what we have, these are the business we want to get in. It's all about drawing business. We've had that discussion several times. So that's something to look at whenever down the road. But I don't want to spend $35,000 for somebody to give me a how to put together book. But when you spend something, I think you need to develop a plan that we need to go out with somebody to bring all the resources that we have in together.
The PR. Did you have something, Commissioner Carroll? Okay. I wanted to highlight, you made the statement about TVA. I did reach out to Melissa Morgan after this shopping center group finally, gave us a presentation and said, well, this is kind of a short version, a long version. Let us know if we can help. I sent that information over to Melissa Morgan, which is a TVA representative that's been with us and has been assisting us in the last year. And she did say that she works with the shopping center group on a regular basis with many, many towns across Middle Tennessee. She also said that what they benefit from is they are partnership and collaboration of making sure what people are looking for. And then I asked her, how many of these services or informationals can you provide? So that's in a works right now that we're looking at having her back in, we might do a road trip in May, but having her back maybe by the fall and being able to direct us of what she can put together, what we're doing as staff, and then being able to say, okay, this is what people are seeing. Is that where we're at right now? Maybe baby steps, but doing something is good.
I was very impressed with her the last time because she did a study on, it was a 25-mile radius of the city and gave us a ton of information at that time.
It's been phenomenal information.
Well, I really think the first start is taking, because, for 2 years, the Economic Task Force, this information has been given in many different ways. You've had many different speakers, but it still lies here with nothing, So I feel like, information's good and it's made us aware. So I think to what point are we going to use the information? And I think that's kind of what you're bringing it out to. But I think our first starting point is basically, we need to look what information can we update our website, what promotional stuff. That we don't need a company to come in and put together necessarily. What can we do? So what can city staff, what can some of these committees, such as chambers, the economic development, put together?
I think talking about it is great. Any other comments? Any comments from staff? No? Okay. Item number 8C, discuss and or take action on the strategic plan workshop. At 6 p.m. we met and had a strategic plan workshop. And again, this is my way of keeping the conversation going forward. In 2011, we had a strategic plan done by MTask. And in March of 2013, we revisited that. And then we also discussed what is our strategic plan current and how are we working on it. In this workshop that we had at 6, we did have a lot of discussion about the number one goal that seems to be surfacing each time, which is City Center Boulevard, roads, bridges, traffic, downtown, all of those kind of encompassed in the town center overlay and the road systems that could be looked at to allow the traffic to be alleviated from Highway 100. Are you going to share that with us? Okay. Don put together a kind of a road overview from town center, the connectivity from 96 Highway to Highway 100, and future roads. Okay. Town center being this area that you're viewing, City Hall being about in the middle. Do you have a pointer there? City Hall there. So this gives you an idea, and 96 Highway, of course, where you see Grand Boulevard stopping, Cox Pike, if you know where that is, then that connects for Lake Road going over to 96 Highway. This road here coming off of 100 Highway, that's Boone Street across the 100. And the, let's see, the one a little, I don't know if that'd be north, Street B. Okay, that coming off and just allowing different points of reference. As Fairview was developed, it was not gridded, it was not squared, it has a lot of linear roads, and that's being identified as in the town center, a downtown area of Fairview. How is the best way to get traffic around, keep the commerce, and then be able to have it a more developable, if that be a proper word, developable area around town center and downtown area. So this is in conversation. We had a little workshop about that, and we do identify that the roads, the bridges, and the traffic is something that we are focusing on as we move forward in strategic planning. We did have a recommendation from that workshop, and the recommendation, I make a motion that the recommendation for the impact fees and the environmental fees be discussed and put on the next Planning Commission agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss about that, Mr. Lavorne? Okay. Thank you. Any comments from the board about this workshop? Item 8D is present and discuss proposed 2013-14 budget and budget workshop schedule. CFO Pewitt?
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
I guess I will start with the budget workshop calendar, as that's probably the easiest start point. The proposed budget workshop calendar would be Monday, April the 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. All meetings would be held in this room. We would discuss the police department, the fire department, and the codes department's budgets that day. The second proposed date is Thursday, May the 2nd, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and we would discuss parks, streets, and admin departments. And that would allow us to then discuss Thursday, May the 2nd, at the Thursday, May the 2nd Board of Commissioners meeting if we would like to have additional workshops, was the thought on trying to get those two in before the next workshop. And I believe that Larry said we didn't have to have a voted approval, but just a suggestion.
Are those considered public meetings and are advertised?
They will be public meetings and they will be advertised, yes, sir. But this is just to set up a meeting. There won't be any votes taken at those meetings. They're discussions.
So my concern is that something would come up in one of those meetings that had not been advertised. Is that going to prevent us from discussing it?
No, sir.
Yeah.
What you'll advertise is that you're having a budget workshop. The only thing that would be precluded would be voting on it.
Okay.
You can discuss anything you want. You just can't take a vote on it.
So if something came up that we wanted to talk about that didn't exactly fit one of those three departments or whatever, we would still be able to talk about it. We just couldn't vote.
As long, you can't vote on any of it.
Okay.
On those three departments, but as long as it's related to the budget, it's a budget discussion. You can discuss anything you want to.
All right.
And all she needs is a direction from the board. Do they want to accept those dates? And then she can go ahead and advertise them.
Those dates are fine with me.
Fine. And what I will recommend, and I know you know this, I'm just making an extra note, is that make sure the agenda item is on the
May
agenda,
2nd.
discuss and/or action on budget workshops for the first meeting in May.
Yes, ma'am.
And would it be recorded?
Workshops are not typically recorded.
Generally, anything that you can't, that you don't take a vote on would not be recorded.
For example, I have promised the date so far, I've worked.
because of that, there's no prohibition against doing the recordings?
No, sir, there's no prohibition against doing it. There's just no statutory requirement that you do it.
Well, I think since at this time Commissioner Sutton has conflict, I know if I was in his shoes, I would appreciate it if we would record them, so at least I could stay abreast of what's going on, so.
There is absolutely no prohibition against recording it. There would be no prohibition against putting it on TV Live at the time. It's just not required.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Sutton. I think if we could, City Manager, would you see that those could be, so if something happens and one of the other of us misses it, then we can all have access to those recordings.
Yeah.
On April the 10th, I believe it was, I submitted our first draft of the budget. This is, the budget I submitted to you I've met, the city manager and myself met with each department head and asked for their wants or needs for this budget year, and so it included all of those items. Since we haven't had a workshop and we haven't discussed any of this, I don't know how in-depth you want me to go tonight, since none of it's been discussed. That's completely
What's in your
up to you.
presentation?
The presentation's for my financials for March. Budget year we're in now.
Well, I mean, I would like to say I really liked how the package was done this year. Like, just point out, just
Everything.
kudos kind of thing as far as easy to read and understand.
And I have, during the meeting today, added, we do have the line item page for items for discussion still. I did add the library expansion and the marketing dollars so that it could be remembered to be discussed during the workshops.
Okay. At this point, you've presented to the public that we have a proposed budget. You've presented to the commission the proposed budget in writing. It's something that is a public document at this point. Unless the commission wants you to go any further in depth at this time, I'm satisfied with your presentation of the proposal.
Okay. Does that mean you'd like me to put this on the website tomorrow for the public to view? Okay. I can do that.
Does anyone have any opposition to that?
No.
Okay. I would like the current budget on there also.
Well, the one that we approved last year's on there.
On
the new page, I was going to discuss
On
that
your
in
new
my,
page? Okay, just wanted to
in
make
my
sure.
presentation in a few minutes.
Okay.
Is the adjustment in the salaries that you brought through, is that going to be
The adjustments in the salaries, when I just started with a base point of exactly what we had last year as a place to start.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
So now you
Just-
have this.
Staff comments.
We'll get staff. Thank you.
Just for clarification, those are all public documents, and there's no problem with posting them on the website.
I'd like to confirm to the public that it's posted, the current budget that we're working under now, 2012-13, that ends June 30th, 2013, is posted under the financial page on the Fairview website, which is fairview-tn.org. And tomorrow they'll be placing the 2013-14 proposed budget that will be going through workshops with the commission.
Yes, ma'am. And the last two audits are also on that page, just for viewing pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. City manager comments?
Yes, ma'am. I do have a couple of comments. We have also posted on our website the board openings. There's several that expire in June, on June 30th, 2013. So if anybody's interested, please go to the website. We have those posted. Also, the Tennessee City Managers Association Conference is next week in Nashville. I'll be attending that Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, and part of Friday, but I'll be available should you need me at the end of the telephone. That's all.
Thank you very much. Staff comments?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a presentation for the March financials. Our target number is 75% for the month of March. Our revenues are at 68%. Part of that part of the reason it is below budget, I apologize, is some of the internal transfers that we have budgeted, such as the monies from the street department. All of those are made at the end of the year as closing items. for the budget, so we'll always lag a little bit behind on revenues because of those internal transfers. Another item to note is in the month of March, we still did not see revenue from MAPCO. We have not received it for this month. We should get it tomorrow, actually. So hopefully I'll be able to report the next presentation, the new increase for MAPCO numbers. But our property taxes are running at 96%, and we did increase our business taxes up to 83%. And if you go to the expenses page, again, I'll say our target number is 75%, and I'm proud to say we're at 74.75. I know it's cutting it close, but I am happy that it is below 75%. Some of our fund balances are a little bit above our 75 target, but I think that those are going to balance out throughout the last few months of the year because they're the items that we had to pay all of it in advance. We do still have the target items that we're watching, like the telephone expense, the engineering expense, the public notices, and office supplies. We're still watching all of those items closely. One meeting, Commissioner Sutton, you asked me about when we would cut off expenses, and I told you last year we did it 2 weeks before. I think that we're going to try to do it the 1st of June this year so that we have the full month to monitor. Yes, sir. Before I go on to my next couple of items, because they don't really have to do with financials, does anybody have any questions? Well, then I just wanted to make note that last meeting you asked me to put an RFP, request for proposal, in the paper for the auditors. It did go in the paper on April the 9th. It is on the website. And the opening date is set for May the 2nd at 2 p.m. in this room if anybody's interested. We will then put them all together to bring to you, hopefully on the May 16th agenda, because it'll take us some time to get them all put together in a packet for you. Also, we spoke briefly a few minutes ago. We do have the finance page now on the website. It's under departments, and I think it says City Finance Department. It lists the last 2 years' audits, and it has the last 2-year budgets that were approved, and this proposed budget will go on it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
City Attorney comments? Oh, did I
Thank
miss
you,
any
Mayor.
staff? Usually she's the
I'm
only
sorry.
one. Okay, City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing further to add at this time, and I know that will create a stir of joy in my good friend Commissioner Vassell's heart.
Well, we're already past 8, so we've already billed us for another hour already. So.
That's the reason I didn't have anything
All
else.
right, that's great.
That's the reason I didn't have anything else to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Vassell.
Well, how could I possibly say anything after that? So I have nothing to add tonight. Unless
Commissioner-
somebody knows a good left-handed curveball pitcher, I could sure use
Commissioner
one.
Carroll?
Yes, I just wanted to mention, I know when we were talking about the impact fee and for roads, environmental, it wasn't mentioned, and it may not have been necessary to mention it there, but that was in discussion supposed to be for the roads. So, I mean, as far as the environmental, I don't know if that needed to be, but anyway, you were here, you know what to discuss. I don't know if it was necessary to declare. And then as far as the environmental fee, which I know that's what the impact fee is, but the environmental fee, we didn't really discuss, is that just going to be in general fund or what it was going to be? I want to designate the money, basically, and anyway, just put that thought as you move forward. The other thing is, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk. I had the opportunity today again to go. It so happens to fall in these meetings, so you always get to hear about the ambassador of Williamson County Schools. But one of the speakers that spoke to us was talking about as far as their schools and the vision, but they said something that I thought was true for here is, basically what we've said for years is what do we want our future to look like for our future generations? And I think that this is the time to discuss and decide and to make those hard decisions, because the decisions we make now will affect our kids. And are we making sound decisions for our kids in the future growth? Because this is their community. We want them to come back to this community, and we want them to be able to work and live in this community. So anyway, just a little thought I would pass on, but another great experience, and I'm just very proud to be able to be a part of this. And just, these are the people that are making the difference in our kids' lives and educating our kids, and the effort the school system puts in. And I'm learning, which I'm sure this is why they put people there, I'm learning that they educate our kids very well for very little money. So, and compared to rest of the state, and compared to other states. So anyway, interesting facts. So hopefully maybe one time I can find an opportunity to sit down and really share some of the information.
Thank you. Commissioner Sutton?
Just a couple of things. Don, I want to tell you I appreciate, I don't know what you did or if you did anything, just imagining this, but this was a lot more visible on the screens tonight than it has been. I don't know if you did anything different or not. You did something different, because I could read it.
I used a different program.
I appreciate that very much, and I'm sure the people in the audience and at home appreciate that too. I want to tell everybody I appreciate all the work that they do. The wheels of government truly do move slowly, but we want to be cautious at the same time and be conservative in things we do. But we know we're going to grow, and if we think slow is what it means, we've grown more in the last 5 years than we have in the last 50 years. So the progress is there, and it's going to keep coming. And just rest assured that I'm sure that they may agree with me. I don't know if they will or not, but we're going to do the best job that we can for you and be conservative in how we do it. We don't want to be in a situation where if somebody moves out of town that we're going to be devastated. We're going to destroy the tax structure or anything like that. So we're very well diversified at this point, and my goal is to try to keep us diversified to a point that we don't have to rely on any one or two specific entities coming into the community. Keep in mind the people that have lost their lives in Boston, Texas, and I believe here in Tennessee where the wall fell on some people. I can't imagine that happening to someone in my family or here, but it has happened to somebody's families. So keep them in your minds and your prayers, and that's really all I've got. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. The only thing I'd like to share this evening is I have had the honor of working with the senior class of 2013 at Fairview High School, and we are working through the Mayor Youth Advisory Council. They have stepped up, and they are going to be an instrumental part with our clean sweep in identifying the pride, the jacket pride for Keep Fairview Beautiful. So if you have students out there, high schoolers out there that are not involved, we are working on a penny war, and the penny war will be per class. The class that wins the most pennies brought in, they will then have that monies for their participation, whether it be for their prom or for their activities. But the senior class is hopefully stepping up. And what my goal in that as mayor is to say, you are important. You are our future. And I want to encourage you to see that you're not too young to help do something very important, which is Keep Fairview Beautiful. So that will take place. We're going to take a tour on Earth Day, which is the 22nd, and we're going to tour Fairview, and I'm going to allow the Youth Advisory Board to tell me what they think about Fairview. So I will be taking good notes. We're going to talk about not only in litter, but also in what they see, what, you know, in their minds, what do they see when they drive around Fairview. So I'm excited to share that back with those who are interested, and they will also be helping on May 4th, which is the Clean Sweep Day that we're going to do at Bank of America. So if you don't have that on your calendar, please do so. And other than giving my condolences to the families that have lost loved ones, we are at half-mast here at City Hall in respect of the Boston Marathon, and my heart and prayer go out to the people who have lost loved ones and have been injured in that event. I did. There be any other comments? Motion for adjournment? Second? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Good evening.